Great good morning, everyone. It is a smoky Thursday, July 16, year of our Lord 2026. It's 9:08 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch, the watch store in Northeast Pennsylvania and beyond. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, broadcasting today from the United States of America, the place where the brave, like the veterans we will salute today, thanks to our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, because they have made us and kept us free. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our amazing, irreplaceable, profoundly wise founding fathers who knew that government should not be and then set out to make sure it would not be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation, not any of these things. Because the more power and influence government has, the less freedom, liberty, and choice Americans have. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared by law to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups in America. It couldn't be controlled by government or government officials, because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. Now, because they were armed with these freedoms, and only because of that fact, these Americans, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, many of them rejects from around the world, they and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our total, immersive, immovable commitment to true common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here for the balance of this singular, extraordinary morning. Well, welcome. I'm happy to be here. I hope you're happy to be with me. And this smoke is really ticking me off. And this is not the first time. And everything that's wrong or goes wrong is not the fault of the left wing. But this is another example. Like California, Canada has ignored basic principles of clear cutting and protecting against wildfires. And now, this happened a couple years ago, I think. We were overwhelmed with smoke from Canada, from Canadian wildfires that they refuse to control because of left-wing idiotic ideology. It just irritates me to the core. Somebody texted in, Bob LTS, Rob Bresnahan would win this election if it wasn't for the high gas prices, now going back up. Mayor Paige Cognetti running out the clock, running on high $5 a gallon gasoline. History on her side, high gas prices always lose. Nixon's resignation, Ford, Carter, McCain, Biden lost gas prices. Now Paige Cognetti says whatever. Yeah. No, she's lying. But here's the crazy part. If the Democrats were to take control, and this is the big lie. You want the big lie? Here's the big lie. If the Democrats were to take control, point of fact, they raised gas prices for no good reason. Just their goofball Green New Deal. Gas prices were $5 a gallon because they wanted them to be. Not because we were stamping out the next Nazi Germany. Not because we were attacking Islamist lunacy that threatened the entire world economy, if not the world, as they were hurtling towards obtaining a nuclear weapon they were going to use. See, there's the important point. This isn't about, you have people, and by the way, they're fools. But you have people who, I don't know why, but they don't care about fact, truth, and reality. That is a condition that we're burdened with in this day and age. But they literally don't realize that what these insane people in Iran are saying is what they're going to do. They said, we want a nuclear weapon to use it. And we will destroy little Satan and then the great Satan. And I want you, if you have a brain and you wish to use it, I want you to picture what would happen if a nuclear Iran was able to blackmail the rest of the world and the world economy and say, oh, we're going to use this. See, that's one option. The second option is, look what they've done to the economy simply because they're fighting with us. They've even spited themselves. These are not rational actors. So my view, and their view, by the way, is that they were going to use the weapon. Now imagine weapons, nuclear detonations in Israel and elsewhere in the Middle East. Now, they also had the capacity to threaten Europe because of their ballistic missile capability. Trump has taken care of all that. It's not like it's gone away forever. It is reduced. Their capacity to produce is reduced. So gas prices are higher for good reason. In fact, just about the best. The best possible reason they're higher. Not like Paige Cognetti wants, not like the left-wing lunatic Democrats want. Very, very different. It's something, and if you don't want to recognize that reality, that truth, and that the Democrats, if they ever got in charge again, and by the way, that's the Democrat Party of 2020 and 2026, not the Democratic Party of 2028, which is going to be even worse. They're hurtling at warp speed to the left, the Democrat Party. They're gone. There is no Democrat Party. They're communists. Some of them are using the label, and I say this, and I want you to think about this with me. We try to think on this show. We don't try to feel. We try to think and let that inform our feelings. Very different. We don't just react with feelings. So I want you to think of any policy. Please text or call. Any policy of the Democrat Party that Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, any policy that they advocate that is different than communism. That's what I want to know. I just don't know. There aren't any. They are the Communist Party today, and they're getting worse. I don't know if there's enough normal Democrats to save them. And I'd hardly call Carville normal, but he sounds normal, saying they need their own party. No. They're going to use your apparatus, and they're going to use your acquiescence. bunch of fruitcakes. They're going to use your acquiescence to them, your fake tolerance for their insane views and the Islamism that has glommed onto them. They're going to use all of that and take over the Democrat Party. But then, by the way, they already have. Again, give me the daylight between so-called mainstream Democrats, their policies, their philosophies, their statements, and the Communist Party. Please, tell me. There's none. Hey, Roach Supply bringing you the live stream. You go to YouTube. You see my smiling and scowling moon face. Roach Supply is the premier bath and kitchen. The premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania. They just are. They're celebrating 75 years in business. Nonagenarian, 95-year-old Ron Roach. He is the boss. 3 generations working there side by side. Visit roachsupply.com today. ROCHE or Chapman Supply. Go to Chapman Supply up in South Abington Township. That's their company also. And that's our deal. Lee Zeldin, the administrator of the EPA, coming up at 10:05. I love this guy. They requested to come on. I said, not a doubt. When? We were looking to do a shorter interview yesterday because of his time constraints when he was in Pennsylvania. I think he may still be here. But now we've got a little bit longer interview at 10:05 with Lee Zeldin. Great guy, and he's been great for the EPA. We'll take a break. We'll be back. Bob Cordaro and the eponymous program. Ain't that a This date, 1955. Fats Domino had the number one R&B hit with his first single out of the box. Ain't that a shame, Murph tells us. Again, July 16th, 1955. 10 years earlier on this date, the United States exploded its first experimental atomic bomb in the desert, Alamogordo, New Mexico. What a horrifying thought. Blowing up nuclear weapons above ground. Whew. And it was fairly common. By the way, not just some of you, a bunch of you. On email, on text, Trump, ask about the rain tax. I will ask him about the rain tax. Hopefully he knows about it. It's the Chesapeake Bay deal. I know that. I'll ask. I've written it down to prepare to ask him. By the way, Mark the Shark, who sends me these birthday things, this is interesting. It is so descriptive of the left and Democrat voters of today that I said, man, this is it. It's from Sherry Tepper, a novelist, born 1929, deceased 2016, and of course born today, July 16th, 1929. She says, nothing limits intelligence more than ignorance. Nothing fosters ignorance more than one's own opinions. Nothing strengthens opinions more than refusing to look at reality. If that doesn't describe the Democrat Party, Democrat voters, and the left of today, wow. That's remarkable. Whew. Really something. All right. In any event, somebody texted in, Bob, look at Paige's own hypocrisy, Paige Cognetti. She claims she's going to fight the good old boy club, but her family member is on the board of Fidelity Bank, who donated money to her campaign. And then she, in turn, is giving money back to Fidelity Bank trying to purchase a building. Well, and people say, well, why don't you name the banker? Well, no, they're not doing anything wrong. They know she can be bought. And they're doing something for their company. 15,000 plus support, plus maybe a little bit more raised. In return for $2 million return, that's one hell of an investment. You got to say, man, that's a good bank. They bought her for $15,000. Got $2 million for $15,000. And yeah, that's the hypocrisy I've been talking about. It's phony. She's a fake. Believe me, she would stomp on anybody to advance her personal ambitions and her lunatic left agenda. Why would the Soros family give maximum contributions? Why would over $8 million have already been spent by left-wing lunatic groups who are going to get something out of Paige? So let's do the math. Let's do the Paige Cognetti math. The Paige Cognetti corruption math. So they're going to spend a hell of a lot more than 8. So let's say 15 million, just to make it easy for my pea brain. 15 million means what? You're going to get about 200 million in return? Oh, no, more. They know where they're going to get the return on their money. The dark money, the left-wing money. So how do you blame the bankers? We're going to get $2 million, a white elephant taken off our hand. And she's going to make it all up, and the local newspaper won't question her. So we get away with it scot-free. And now the property's off the tax rolls. She's going to use it, part of it, to compete with taxpayers who actually make money from commercial real estate. She's going to pretend the police have to be there, even though they have their own headquarters. There is no use for it. And by the way, if you really thought there was a handicapped issue, which is also insane, in the Mayor Wenzel, a triple amputee war hero from Vietnam, he got into City Hall every day. Page doesn't even go every day. In fact, he doesn't go very often. So if you said, well, okay, let us rent the first floor from Fidelity Bank so people could come in and out who are handicapped. Okay, done. Doesn't cost $2 million. It costs the rental fee. In fact, ask them to donate it. Unbelievable. Oh, God almighty. It's really something. Somebody says, hey, Bob, I figure you got some pull. Can you call Canada and tell them to put up fans to blow the smoke back up into Canada? I know. I'm PO'd because I don't get to go exercise today. I can't exercise outside. And I've been doing pretty good with it. And it feels good. And even better, I can have a cigar and be happy about it. Somebody says Frank Andrews asked Trump about the rain tax when he was still on the air, and Trump said he'd look into it. That was the first term, and he did nothing. I'm going to ask. But, I mean, you guys are haters of Donald Trump. Who put it in place? You don't even ask, do you? Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord. I mean, it's just, how do you have an intelligent conversation with someone who does not acknowledge fact, truth, and reality? It's very difficult. Bob Bugzar says you've never been more honest than right now. The Republicans or independents haven't allowed a disease like the Democrats, socialists, communists. It's exactly who and what the party is, allowing Islamists, you said Muslims, I'm saying Islamists, perverts, and anti-American scum run and fill their destructive political party ballots nationwide. Yep. They didn't care about Graham Plattner until the poll showed he's going to lose. Now everybody knows he's a scumbag, even people not paying attention. They don't care. Ugh, it's disgusting. It's a sickening party. It's actually sickening. And that's why the communists own it. Because they've got no morals. They've got no values. You heard me play the imam about 3 or 4 times saying that's why the Islamists are going with the Democrat Party. Because they don't stand for anything except power. And they will use the Islamists and vice versa. And that's how the Islamists will gain power, through the Democrat Party. Yep. All right. 9:33 on my Bacardo Jewelers watch. That means we've got to hear from our sponsors. We will come back. We've got a Veterans Tribute. We've got the weather and more. Our veterans tribute this hour and this day, as with every hour and every day, brought to you by our man, the Patriot, American, John Basiliga. Well, it's Thursday, so we got to start talking Basiliga hospitality. I got to go to the Great Far Street Tavern on Tuesday. Loved it, as usual. Other bar restaurants in that chain, the Old Brook Inn, 307, Springbrook Township, fabulous. Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant, right on the main drag. It is outstanding. That's where I'm meeting Wayne someday, and we better make it soon. You know, tomorrow never comes. Fine dining, they got that. The Stegmeyer Mansion, downtown Wilkes-Barre. It is incredible. It is an experience you have to have. The Terra 519, downtown Scranton. It is incredible and a modern take on an amazing dining experience. And both the Stegmeyer and the Terra have very affordable happy hours. Very affordable apps, the whole package. You got to just check them out. And coming soon, Coney Island Lunch. We talked about National Hot Dog yesterday. They will celebrate the hot dog. Accompanied by Reagan's Ice Cream Shop, named after John's daughter. Martin Pearson. We lost him into the arms of the Lord on July 8th. He was living in Exeter at the Highland Manor Nursing Home. He was born in Pittston Township, graduated from Pittston Township High School. He served us in the U.S. Army. He worked construction in his early years and then at Tobyhanna Armored Depot until his retirement in 2000. He delighted in reading, gardening, doing word find puzzle, watching sports, westerns, talking with his niece and cousins. Most of all, he loved being with Chris Monahan, his companion for 25 years. More recently, Marty appreciated Ann and Kathy's daily visits to Highland. He did not know what he would do without them. In addition to his parents, he was preceded in death by his siblings and their spouses. He's survived by the Davidson, Donati, and Pearson nieces and nephews, as well as their children, cousins, and friends. Martin Pearson. Donald Glossinger. We lost him July 10th, and it is with love and gratitude for a life well lived that we announce the passing of Donald T. Glossinger, who passed away on July 10th at the age of 91. His wife is the former Janet Jones. Arrangements by the James Wilson Funeral Home in Lake Ariel. Donald Glossinger. Ronald Zabriskie, U.S. Air Force retired. He was 84 when we lost him on July 6th. Born in Plains, graduate of Plains Memorial High School. He built a career in the United States Air Force, retiring after 23 years of service to all of us. He was a member of the Restored Church of Wilkes-Barre and various veterans organizations, including the Plains American Legion, the Joseph Conlon Post, and the VFW Lonnie Post. He was preceded in death by sisters, aunts, uncles, surviving 2 brothers, a sister, their spouses, 3 brothers, I apologize, all of Plains, including many nieces and nephews. Ronald Zabriskie. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by all of our great people up at Montage. Well, what is going on Montage? Isn't that a ski resort, you ask? No, it's not just that. It's a water park. It's a 12-month fun place to hang out. And the water park, this is Water Park Week. It just is. I've declared it. Today, they tell us hazy. Not as hot with lower humidity, but the wildfire smoke will create unhealthy air quality, poor visibility at times, 89 degrees. Tonight, hazy, low 62. Tomorrow, hazy, sunshine, very warm. We're getting the usual cautions, which I know you people know better. High 86, low 64. Saturday, cloudy and not as warm, but humid with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. High 78, low 69 on Saturday. Sunday, mostly sunny, less humid in the afternoon, high 83, low 56. Monday, mostly sunny, high 85, low 63. And if that's not a water park week, I don't know what is. It is 73 at Montage Mountain Resort right now. I think I've heard that before. The Coasters. Murph tells us this date, 1959, they recorded their hit Poison Ivy, Atlantic Recording Studios, New York City, in a day when it was a little better and not run by total lunatics, just goofy people. All right, let's hear from our great sponsors. We will come back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show on WILK. Eric Clapton, Ginger Baker, Jack Bruce got together, formed the band Cream. Murph tells us this date, 1966, and he picked Sunshine of Your Love. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. Let's go right to the blower because we got a couple of minutes. Bill from Pittston, how are you?
Oh, pretty good. How about you, Bob?
Doing good, other than these Canadian idiots with their smoke.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, I've been frustrated lately. Oh, for a while. You remember, even in 2024, I called you back saying that we should teach anti-Semitism and anti-Jewish rhetoric in schools from K to senior high. I saw the escalating anti-Semitism as you have, and it's getting worse and worse. They're almost treated like they were by the Nazis. Now the Democrats, 100 of them, don't want to support Israel. So I've talked to Rob Bresnahan. I've talked to Dina McCormick, Dave's wife. She thought it was a great idea. So did Rob. But they tell me they're looking into it, but I don't see any action. And I think it's imperative because I see anti-Semitism and people have a complete ignorance of the Holocaust, or they just deny it. And I think kids really need to be educated. It should be mandatory, if not in the country, at least in the Commonwealth.
I can't disagree with you at all. I think that when you look at I don't call it Semitism because Semites are also Arabs.
Right.
Bottom line, it's anti-Jewish. It is hate for no reason. And it has become a major plank of the Democrat Party. It's absolutely incredible. And anyone who says, no, they're just against Israel's policies under Netanyahu. Did you check out what they were doing to Jewish students at American universities? Please don't tell me it's not anti-Jewish.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It is anti-Jewish thought, and it's getting worse, and you can't deny it, and things need to be done. I'm hoping Rob will listen to this and maybe look into it a little further, or, even Dave McCormick and Dan Muser.
It's very hard, though, when you're – and the greater issue is dismantling the Department of Education, and it is hard to do that simultaneously with adding curriculum. By the way, which is going to get incredible resistance from the left-wing lunatics in the teachers union and the bureaucracy.
Exactly. That's what I want, confrontation.
Yep. Right,
I want to confront them and make them deal with it.
It's coming up
Show
on
the differences between us.
Always a pleasure, Bill. Thank you. Coming up on 9:50, the sweep hand tells me, which means Bloomberg Money Minute. Let's find out how the markets have opened, and then we'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Murph tells us July 16, 1966. Tommy James and the Shondells moved up to number one with their hit Hanky Panky. 1964, this date, Goldwater accepts it and makes that great speech in San Francisco, of all places. And 1980, Ronald Reagan, the great Ronald Reagan, speaking on the 17th, but nevertheless, 1980 accepts the nomination. All right, let's go right to the blower because we're running out of time at the top of the hour. Rich from Laughlin. How are you, Rich?
Good, Bob. Thanks for taking a call. I'll try to be quick. One more thing for Lee Zellin, okay? I was going to write him a letter, and I actually wrote a letter to the state about it and got a BS answer. The gas cap test. It was told to me they could have dropped that already, but this state, if they see pennies, they jump on it like it's food here. We're still paying a tax.
But you know he can't do anything about the state of Pennsylvania. We got to vote out Governor Shapiro to take care of that.
Well, but it was done under the EPA, under the federal government. Casey Sr. agreed to everything the feds wanted to do. So you may remember, they were putting special buildings up. We were going to get our cars tested just like New Jersey, up on ramps, okay? Mm-hmm. Tom Ridge came in 95, sued the EPA, and agreed to this simple gas cap test. The problem is there's no more gas caps on cars. The state knows that, and they have the audacity to charge you, I don't know where it's at now, 15 or 20 bucks. I think
really?
The phone call.
Wow.
I think the phone call alone, I think is $10 or $15. And you know, Rob, drive 10 miles away towards the country, they don't pay it. Scranton Wilkes-Barre's paying it. You go to Tunkhannock, they don't have the gas tax.
A gas cap tax. Never heard of it.
Gas cap test. They take at one time.
Oh, gas cap test.
Yeah, they used to take the gas cap off, put it on a suction device to see if it could hold a vacuum. But the new cars don't have them. On the side of the car, they have it's called a racing type cap. Mm-hmm. You push in on the side where you're getting fuel, but you can't access that no more. The mechanics.
I'm not going to be able to ask him about this because I don't know enough about it. So, but we got to talk about this in the future. I'm curious what it is. I'm just a little curious about it.
Okay, well, there's no more gas caps on cars, and we're paying a gas cap test, you know. And that was from the federal government, Rob. Thank you, sir.
Okay, my man. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
As I said, I learn things from you guys every single day. A gas cap test, maybe part of our Pennsylvania state inspection. I've got to somehow remember to look into this. It's curious. These are the kind of things, guys. We're happy. We need to stick together to pay attention to these things and bring them to attention. I will ask about the rain tax. That I can. Beyond that, I don't want to. You can't get in the weeds in an interview. We got 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? By the way, somebody texted in, Bob, Dallas School District covers the Holocaust in fifth grade. Good for them. That's a little bit rough subject matter for fifth grade, but, it is critical that we understand. At the very least, you got to understand, what do the Islamist lunatics want to accomplish? What Hitler started. And by the way, I've pointed this out to you historically. The Islamists of their day, not as wacko as today, but the Islamists of the 30s and 40s were full on in with Hitler and allied with Hitler. They loved his goal of eliminating the Jews. And now they're just doing it as straight out Islamist lunacy. Yeah. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK, 10 o'clock on my Ricardo Jewelers watch. That means it's time for the news with Brian Hughes. We'll be back after that. Lee Zeldin will be our guest. You know it does, baby. Great good morning, everyone. It's 10:06 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. This beautiful but smoky, thanks to Canadian lunatics, Thursday, July 16th, year of our Lord 2026, here in the great Northeast, and I suspect elsewhere. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor, with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today, thanks to John. Like Donald Glossinger, he was from Lake Ariel. Martin Pearson, Pittston Township. Ronald Zabriskie, Wilkes-Barre. Albert Danko, late of Florida, but he was from Nanticoke. Alan Pugliese, Carbondale. Paul Asman, Troop, but he was from Scranton. Michael Martin, Hanover Township. So with history, our amazing founding fathers, who we will not allow to be canceled, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here. Without further ado, after that blazing appearance in front of one of the scummiest pieces of garbage in the United States Senate or Washington, D.C., Sheldon White House, we bring on board, and I love the guy. I was at, actually, I'll tell him about this, but he's listening on hold, but I was at one of his campaign events in New York City because I really wanted him to win for governor. He was a U.S. congressman and then ran for governor unsuccessfully in New York, and unfortunately for the people of New York. And my man Mark Mayer reminds us he's from Shirley, Long Island, William Floyd High School, SUNY Albany, Albany Law School, U.S. Army, active duty 2003 to 2007, and the reserves from 07 to 025. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. Administrator Zeldin, how are you, sir?
So good to be with you. I'm doing great this morning.
Great welcome to the Bob Cordaro Show. Love having you on. Man, you have to deal with, and I had the other clip ready, it just didn't misfired, with Congressman DeLauro. How do you do this with insane people on the other side?
I mean, you just have to hold your ground. Show up and you do your homework. You show up with your facts, and you're not going to allow them to go down this rabbit hole of spin and half truth to total dishonesty. That's with the White House clip that you just played. That's where that went with the DeLauro exchange and some of the other exchanges I've had with some of these other congressional Democrats. It's clear to me that they just didn't do their homework. They're reading off of a piece of paper that maybe some junior staffer or some intern put in front of them. And they also don't listen to your answer because they're trying to get to their next question that they aren't prepared to ask you. And, quite honestly, like some of the best answers are just, to just answer the question. Like sometimes they say the best way to answer a question is to answer the question they wish they asked you. Rosa DeLauro was asking me, why did we repeal the 2009 endangerment finding and all greenhouse gas emission standards for light, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles that followed, the largest act of deregulation in the history of this country that we finalized with President Trump this past February? Why did we do it? And I realized in that exchange, she didn't read the law that the regulations were based on. She hasn't read or was even aware of or even recognized the name of the Supreme Court cases, like Loper Bright overturning the Chevron deference doctrine or West Virginia versus EPA and the major questions doctrine. And if you're going to come at me with asking, why are we doing this stuff, pursuant to the law? Man, you should do your own prep and actually know what the law is coming in.
You would think, but these people are not only caricatures of themselves, they're actual cartoon characters. And you discovered right off the jump about $20 billion in grants that were suspect at best.
Oh, absolutely. And so this was part of what they called the Inflation Reduction Act. Congressional Democrats, when they had one-party control, they had tens of billions of dollars go through EPA, more money than EPA knew how to spend. And towards the end of the Biden administration, they hadn't gotten the money out yet. So what they decided to do was park this $20 billion at an outside financial institution to get it one step further removed from the government. The money to all go through 8 pass-through entities. This is where that Stacey Abrams connected NGO that President Trump talks about often. Mm-hmm. This was one of the 8 where the NGO received $100 in 2023. They then received $2 billion of this $20 billion in 2024. And it's just loaded up with former Obama and Biden officials, Democratic donors. It was with reduced agency oversight. These were unqualified recipients. And this was a grift that we don't come into office and say, well, we want to take money from a left-wing NGO and give it to a right-wing NGO. We're saying we care about the taxpayer. It's about taking the money that was getting misappropriated and restoring some sanity to basic taxpayer dollar accountability. It's about getting the money back into the Treasury to be able to reduce the burden on Americans who are struggling to make ends meet. And if you're going to spend $1 to remediate an environmental issue, our position is the dollar should be spent on remediating the environmental issue, not given to like some activist group. And by the way, there was one grant there was an example. There was a whole category of grants that we canceled where the grant would go to a group that would train activist groups to come to D.C. and advocate for the next $1 to go to them so they could go out and be advocates.
Oh my God.
and like, but the dollar was supposed to go to remediate an environmental issue. That President Trump says that dollar should go towards actually remediating the environmental issue, not to, activist groups training activist groups.
It is crazy. And Doge, your efforts and the efforts of others have demonstrated that the federal government has just become a scam for insiders for at least a third of its spending.
I mean, it really is a grift. We have a zero tolerance policy towards any waste and abuse. Our annual operating budget is $10 billion a year. In my first year in office, we saved $30 billion. And now, most people would say, well, how is it possible that you were given 10 and you saved 30? It's because of, in 2024, the agency had obligated and spent over $60 billion, and that money wasn't spent fast enough. And when we were first alerted to this, and I imagine you remember it, and maybe a bunch of your listeners do as well. There was this video that came out towards the end of 2024 of this Biden EPA official who was caught on video talking about how they were tossing gold bars off the Titanic, rushing to get billions of dollars out the door before President Trump came in, because they were worried that when President Trump came in, he was going to stop it. That was true. The guy also said that it would be really cool to get themselves jobs at the recipient NGOs. And it's like this alarm goes off when the video comes out in December, and we're like, man, we're going to make this a top priority. So we ended up in that $30 billion that I told you that we saved in 2025 last year. It's from canceled grants, canceled media subscriptions, real estate consolidations, staff efficiencies. The agency size, the employee size is now 25% less than what it was, and we're actually doing more with less. We closed an EPA museum that no one knew existed or visited. Yeah, and we were able to save so much money for the taxpayer, and I loved every minute of it.
Lee Zeldin is our guest. He is the 17th administrator, and I believe the most effective ever of the Environmental Protection Agency. And I mean in terms of preserving the environment as well, not just saving us from insanity and billions of dollars. By the way, Sheldon Whitehouse, the blowhard, his wife was a recipient, her groups, and received a lot of money from the EPA.
Man, there's so many issues I see with a bunch of these congressional Democrats who like right now with the Canadian wildfires, you think of all the emissions that are being put in the air, the fact that Canada's just letting it burn. They basically they monitor critical assets. But they don't do forest management, wildfire mitigation the way that they should beforehand. Once it starts burning, they let it burn as long as it doesn't impact a critical asset. And then we have all these people in the northern U.S., including right now a lot of people in Pennsylvania, who are really upset, as they should be, over what's going on. And the same thing that we saw in California with the California wildfires, and they want to rail on climate change, and we let's just talk in facts and reality, and be honest with ourselves. And what they seek to do with these narratives of talking about terms like climate change, environmental justice, climate justice, is that in the name of the terms, they then hoard power, which in certain cases they use to appropriate tens of billions of dollars that then go to their friends and closest allies and former, administration officials and donors. And the whole thing is, it's just sick. We don't we want to be honest from start to finish about everything that we see, that we listen to, that we learn, and be transparent with the American public. And the agenda here isn't, to hoard power, to be able to appropriate money for our friends. For us, we just want to do the right thing every day, all day, every day. We want to protect the environment. We want to help grow the economy. Right now, I'm in Pennsylvania. I was, yesterday I was in Congressman Bresnahan's district, McKenzie's district, Fitzpatrick's district. Right now, I'm in Congressman Scott Perry's district. We want to be able to do our part to help Pennsylvania grow and thrive, to advance cooperative federalism, to see jobs and investment come in, apply common sense, follow our statutory obligations. But there are people who are in power who have agendas that are extraordinarily selfish. I mean, they use rhetoric and words that are just dishonest and misleading. And man, I really feel like every year, like we're in a fork road moment for this country, and we just can't ever let our guard down. Yeah, we're celebrating a 250th anniversary, but we're not on cruise control by any means. This is fragile. We have to always fight for it.
Lee Zeldin is our guest, EPA Administrator. Mr. Zeldin, one thing, and it's not a gotcha thing, but that is a great concern to Northeast Pennsylvania, particular parts of our listenership here, is the so-called rain tax, revolving around the watershed, the Chesapeake watershed, that we were determined to be part of. And it is burdening a lot of people in this listening area. They don't know why. President Trump had said in his first term that he would get rid of it, and it never happened. Do you know anything about it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Congressman Bresnahan, Congressman McKenzie, they often are fighting for it, raising the issue. This is not something that EPA requires. This isn't something that President Trump requires. There's been litigation on this issue that's gone on over the course of history. It's something that clearly there's local opposition to. When I talk about the Trump administration wanting to advance cooperative federalism, I mean, we mean it. You're working with state and local communities. We don't want to micromanage these decisions. We don't want to act like we know the land, air, and water better than the locals do. I actually believe very much the opposite way. So, what I've articulated to the members of Congress who have been fighting hard for their districts all across the board on tons of issues, and I'll just amplify again here, the position of President Trump, of me, of this administration is like we just want to assist, but we don't require, EPA does not require the rain tax. President Trump doesn't require it.
So that's a state responsibility that they're hanging on to.
Yeah. So I mean, there was basically a multiple layered decision making that had taken place many years ago, like way before President Trump's first term in office, when this was being pursued and implemented. That you had the state getting involved, you had locals getting involved, and you ended up with this cost on the local community. But President Trump comes in, whether it's the first term or fast forward today as we're having this conversation in 2026, like there's we at EPA, we are not requiring that tax. We're not advocating for it. We're not suggesting it. We just want to support the local community. And I mean, our position is like, we're here to help. Let us know what we can do to assist. But no, the EPA is not requiring it. President Trump's not requiring it.
Lee Zeldin, tell us, what are your priorities as you were in the midst of the second year of the administration? Tell us what you haven't accomplished that you really want to get to.
Well, I'll tell you the best announcement that we put out in the one-year anniversary of President Trump's term in office. We released a list of our top 500 environmental actions, accomplishments from that first year. We continue to keep that pace. It gets to our core mission of protecting human health and the environment. It's the first pillar for us of powering a great American comeback: cleaner, safer, healthier land, air, and water. And conservatives believe strongly in protecting our environment. We also believe that you can help grow the economy at the same time. So we are simultaneously finalizing what amounts to more deregulation in 1 year than entire federal governments have done in past presidencies across every agency combined, across entire presidencies. We're just doing that at one agency. I mentioned earlier the repeal of the endangerment finding. That was over $1 trillion of a deregulatory act right now, so far we have finalized a bunch of other important deregulation. We're in the middle of some public comment periods. We're out of some. We have proposals out. Like it's a process to just continue to go down this road of fixing this regulatory regime that we inherited, really doing everything at once. And just every single day that I am in this job, I pop my identification card into my laptop after reading a new either proposal for deregulation or a final rule to deregulate. And I'm signing my name, and we're posting it in the Federal Register, and we have a lot of people behind the scenes working hard on implementing it because these aren't like one-page memos.
Are you getting cooperation within your bureaucracy?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. We did an agency-wide reorganization. We reduced the agency size. When we came in, it was a little over 16,000. Currently, we're at 12,500. I mentioned earlier getting more done with less, fulfilling our statutory obligations. We have a great political team that we brought in, appointees under President Trump, and we're getting great support from a dedicated career staff who understand how this works. I mean, like sometimes your candidate wins an election, sometimes it doesn't. If you want to spend a career inside of a federal agency, the pendulum will swing from that standpoint. There have been exceptions along the way. That's a whole other conversation on how that was dealt with. And I believe that we're at a point of mutual respect and understanding that we're going to fulfill our statutory obligations every single day. I limit my power. To what federal statute says. If anyone has a problem with what I do, my messages go down the street to Congress and suggest they change the law. But every law has a single best reading. We're going to follow that single best reading. We're going to do without any apology or regret. And yeah, as I look forward, it's about continuing to do our part to protect the environment while also doing our part to continue to help grow the economy and continue to deliver on this Trump mandate that Americans voted for in 2024 that Pennsylvania voted for when they sent their electoral votes to President Trump in that election.
Well, Secretary Zeldin, thank you so much for your time. It was great to have you on. We're great admirers. We want you to keep your focus on the rain tax just for you wouldn't believe the amount of texts I'm getting. It is a big issue up here, and it matters to a lot of voters. And we got a great congressman by the name of Rob Bresnahan, and he is pushing for it behind the scenes. I know we'd like to get something done on it.
Yeah, for sure. And this is going to require action from other levels of government. Just know that the Trump administration, we've heard Rob Bresnahan loud and clear. We've worked hard on it, and that's why we're making our position very clear that we are not requiring it, we're not encouraging it, we're not suggesting it whatsoever.
All right. Administrator Zeldin, thank you so much. Your work is so important. It's been so consequential. We might want you back as governor of New York, but that's for another day.
Yes, sir.
All right. Lee Zeldin, EPA
Great to be
Administrator.
with you.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
All right. We'll take a break. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our veterans confronting the horrors of the Holocaust. Albert Danko, Nanticoke. We lost him at age 87, July 5th. He was also of Davie, Florida. Proud graduate of Nanticoke High School, he honorably served his country in the United States Air Force. After that, he embarked on a successful professional career for companies like IBM and Eastman Kodak, where he developed extensive expertise in technology and innovation. Survived by his sister, nieces, nephews, in-laws. I don't usually mention it, but his beloved cats, Tim and Tom, treasured members of his family. Albert Danko. Alan Pugliese. He was from Carbondale. We lost him July 6th. He was 84 years old. He survived by his wife for 53 years, Elaine Van Luvender Pugliese. Born in Scranton, graduate of Scranton Central High School. He proudly served in the U.S. Army during the Vietnam War. He worked as a technician for Xerox in Hopatcong, New Jersey, before returning home to work for the Pennsylvania State Office of Unemployment. Strong-headed in his opinions, our kind of guy, always up for a good debate. Well-read, his preparation led to an undefeated debate record, as he was always correct. He loved World War II movies. He loved collecting things, lots of them. He was a proud veteran who will never be forgotten. Along with his wife, Elaine, he survived by his daughter, Brenda Cruz, and her husband, Charles. His grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and other family members, Alan Pugliese. Paul Asman. We lost him June 24th. He was from Troop, born in Scranton. Navy veteran, serving active duty, 62 to 65. Graduate of Lackawanna Trail High School and Keystone College. He was employed in sales and marketing during his career. Received a bachelor's degree in business from the University of Scranton. Longtime active member of the Jackson Street Baptist Church, where he was chairman of the board and deacon. Formerly a scout leader through the same Jackson Street Baptist Church. Surviving 4 children, their spouses, 5 grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and other family members. Paul Asman. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, consisting of the Great Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook Township, the Far Street Tavern on Far Street in the Great Trips Park section of West Scranton. Just hung out there Tuesday night. The Queen City Tavern on the main drag, making downtown Oliphant happen. And then fine dining, yep, we got that. A Terra 519, the modern take in one of the most beautiful settings you will ever see. And the Stegmeyer Mansion, in an old world version of an incredible dining experience, both with inexpensive happy hours. You can hang there for less. Sergey's Live will be open tonight. That is the nightclub under a Terra on Linden Street, Scranton, and they create fun. Coming soon, Coney Island Lunch on Lackawanna Avenue and Reagan's Ice Cream Shop. That's the Basiliga Hospitality Group, and they bring you our great veterans. AccuWeather forecast today, hazy, not as hot with lower humidity. Wildfire smoke will create unhealthy air quality and poor visibility at times, but not at Montage Mountain. The water park's doing great. High 89. Tonight, hazy, low 62. Tomorrow, hazy, sunshine, very warm. High 86, low 64. Saturday, cloudy, not as warm, but humid with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. Storms can bring flooding, downpours, and localized damaging wind gusts. 78 degrees Saturday, low 69. Sunday, mostly sunny, less humid in the afternoon, high 83, low 56. Monday, mostly sunny, high 85, low 63. It sounds like one hell of a week for visiting the water park at Montage, where it's 77 degrees right now. Wild thing. Murph tells us the Trogs, they moved up to number 2 this date, 1966, with their hit Wild Thing. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. I really like Lee Zeldin, but I mean, I've talked to Rob Bresnahan about this issue, and I know a lot of you are passionate about it because it's reaching into your pockets. And Rob says it's like almost a circular firing squad, but everybody's pointing at each other and saying, well, it's them, it's not us, it's them, it's not us, it's them, it's not us. Well, I know this. You're going to get nothing out of the current governor who's holding this all up. Bresnahan's doing everything he can do. And he's got the power to get it done as well, by the way. He's created that much juice for himself in his first term. And it'll only accelerate on our behalf after he wins this fall. But you got the state really to deal with, which is one big headache with Shapiro as governor. Somebody texts in, I think Lee Zeldin's a great guy, but his answer about the rain tax was a typical government official response. Nobody's ever going to accept responsibility for it, and everybody's just going to keep finger pointing about it, and it will never be ended. Sad. Fascinating. Hey, by the way, a bunch of you text in about this gas cap test. Somebody said that even though your car doesn't have a gas cap and you haven't driven it less than 5,000 miles, you're supposed to be exempt, but they're still charging you at the inspection station. So it's part of your state inspection. That's why I didn't ask Zeldin about it. I couldn't detect any federal part in that. Bob, the gas cap test is the emissions part of the Pennsylvania inspection, but only in certain counties. Fascinating. You can be exempt from this. Okay, here's how the text comes in. If your vehicle's gone under 5,000 miles in the past year, however, the fee, which is about $30 to $40, is only reduced by the inspection station by about $10 to $15. So even though your car doesn't have a gas cap, you have driven it less than 5,000 miles, making you technically exempt. It still nearly doubles the cost of the annual inspection. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. This government taking on a life of its own is frightening, isn't it? My gosh, it's frightening. All right. We've got to hear from our sponsors, who we love. And I got to tell you, and I've been told off the record, no, not off the record, but I've been told in background, not on air, Bresnahan is really fighting for this, against the rain tax. And that he's being effective. It's just not done yet. All right. We'll take a break at 10:45, actually 10:46 on my Bacardo's watch, and then we'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. July 16, 1969, the Beatles. They worked on George Harrison's hit, Something, at Abbey Road Studios in London. It's a long story, but I sing that to my cat when I feed him. Well, a version of it. And then Apollo 11, 1969. I hope it's not a Saturday or Sunday, the anniversary date of the moon landing, when Neil Armstrong speaks those famous words. But they blasted off from Cape Kennedy on the first manned mission to the surface of the moon, this date, 1969. Bob Cordaro back with you. Let's go right to the blower. We got Razor from Peckville. Hi, Razor.
How you doing, Bob?
Doing great.
I haven't spoken to you in a while. So I want to preface this by saying that the Democrat Party is the most inclusive, tolerant party compared to the Republicans because we're racist, homophobic, and bigoted.
Yeah.
Right now, they are embracing and accepting into their party the most racist, bigoted, homophobic people, not only in the country, but in the whole world. They are scumbags, and the Democrats don't care about it because they're scared of losing their power.
Yep.
That is disgusting what's happening. I've told you, and I'm yelling, but I've told you about what happened to my neighborhood in the Bronx. Islamic signs all over the place. Well, that's how somebody like Mamdani got voted in. They could care less about our way of life. They just want to vote in somebody who looks like them. That's racist. That's the racist stuff. We don't do that anymore. The Democrats think that we always did. It was the Democrats that were against freedom for the blacks. Freaking Lincoln got him. Well, whatever. I'm nuts. New York City is in trouble. And they're losing, I just heard they lost like $12 billion in taxes because of the people that are leaving.
Yep. The people who can move are
Right.
moving. And it
And the
isn't just the
people that
million.
they're voting-
It's not just the millionaires. It's the all the middle and upper income people who can get out are fleeing New York City, New York
Yep.
State. Yep.
Yep.
Nuts.
And you know what? And so that's one thing. That's one thing. But how horrible these people are. They really are the biggest bigots and racists, homophobics, big time, in the world.
Yep.
In the world. And these Democrats around here could care less because their little section of town is protected. Well, guess what? New York, where I grew up, was a major, I told you, was a big, for miles, Italian neighborhood.
Yep.
Morris Park was
Razor.
a big Italian neighborhood.
Razor. It's coming to a theater near you if you keep voting Democrat. And how they don't get that simple fact, an obvious fact, I don't know. And I don't know, other than to continue to talk about it and continually prod. That's all we have. And maybe they'll get it before it's too late.
They don't want to lose their power.
Yep.
And I wanted to say something with the coming elections. It's a little early because nobody's paying attention, especially in the summer. But all of you people that voted for Trump and that do not vote when Trump is not on there, you're going to be the cause, and I hate doing this to you, but you're going to be the cause if we lose these midterm elections.
Yes.
And then that's going to keep happening every time. And then it is going to take over. This Islamic movement is a drip. It's like Chinese torture. Drip until they take over.
And they by the way, they were ineffective until the Democrat Party said, "Hey, here's another pathway to hang on to power," even though they will be destroyed by it. It's remarkable idiocy. But when you look at Democrat positions, you got to figure, you know what? They are idiots. What are you going to do? Thank you, Razor. Always. Luciano, we only got a few seconds, but fire away, my man.
Hey, Bob, thank you for taking my call, brother. I'm going to keep it real. And like they say, you've been around black people. Do you feel me, brother? I used to walk the streets with homeless vets in Los Angeles and police officers By the way, I knew there were Mexicanos, Chicanos. They would stop me and say, "Brother, you need to get out of this place. You're sleeping." I had my sleeping bag, and I had two other brothers, and one was an Air Force veteran. He'd say, you gotta get off there, and this area is designated, and you're not allowed to sleep on this area. So I would show my papers, I showed my proof of ID, and so did the other two. And by the way, one was white and one was a Mexican, Chicano, American citizen, and we get up and we take our sleeping bags and our backpacks, and we move to another location. The thing is, the analogy I have is what they found out. Telemundo, Univision, Spanish News hates and despises Republicans. But today they had to report the absolute truth. That Mexican illegal that lived in Houston, Texas, they grudgingly did not want to expose this information, the Spanish News. They found crystal meth in his van, in his minivan. Bob, crystal meth is toxic. You know that, just like fentanyl. They found that, and he was an innocent bystander that just flew away. So I'm saying that to you, Bob. And brother, man, you always tell the truth. Even though you say colorful words, I understand your colorful words, and I know there's things you can't say on the air that you're absolutely incredibly agitated and irritated by these radical Democrats.
Well, thank you for your commentary, my man Luciano. Appreciate it, brother. 11:01 on my Picardo Jewelers watch. That means it's time for the news with Brian Hughes. Let's do that and come back. You know it does, and we're fighting it here every day. Great good morning, everyone. 11:08 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. This beautiful Thursday, July 16, year of our Lord 2026 here in the great Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor, with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John. Like Paul Asman, formerly of Troop and Scranton, Alan Pugliese, Carbondale, Albert Danko, late of Florida, but he was from Nanticoke, Donald Glossinger, Lake Ariel, Martin Pearson, Pittston Township, Ronald Zabriskie, Wilkes-Barre, and Michael Martin, Hanover Township. So with history, our amazing founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order after that brief news adjournment, today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all who hearken here. Bob Cordaro back with you, and you heard that, man, you just cannot underestimate this Constitution and the wisdom and courage that went into the founding of this nation. You think of the courage which we highlighted with the Rick Bigelow appearance the other day, and then the wisdom from many of the same people to create this Constitution just a few years later. Unbelievable. Somebody texted, we should rent a convertible and drive across the country with Luciano. I would do that any day. You'd have to pay me for it only because I have to work. Somebody says, well, they're complaining about talk to text. I know. You got to always check it. But it said LTS, LTS back at you. When I lived in Atlanta, Georgia in the early 2000s, we paid for a gas cap tax, an inspection, windshield wipers, tires, the whole 9 yards. And then on top of that, we had to pay taxes on the vehicle. And depending on how new they were, the more the tax was on it. Wow. Now, somebody says, Bob, the Democrats want low gas prices and affordability. The Republicans must deliver and won't for some reason. Well, they can't deliver. This conflict has to end. I think Trump made a big strategic mistake by not finishing the job. He should have been bombing while they were negotiating. He shouldn't have fooled. There should have never been a pause. I think the only thing I could think that makes any sense is that the pause that was taken, this stupid ceasefire, this waste of time negotiations, which you knew were a waste of time, was because we were short on certain munitions. I don't know. I know that the deployment of ships, and especially the Lincoln, the aircraft carrier, one of the aircraft carriers in theater, it's been too long. They just can't be out there that long. We're going to see. We're going to see. But huge mistake. He's doing the right thing, but you got to finish it. They are not people you could talk to. And the two things, I've been saying this for 2 months now. I'd be telling the Israelis, number one, who can you kill from their leadership? Let's get it done. Find them, kill them. Number one. Number two, let's do whatever has to be done, including troops on the ground, to keep the Strait of Hormuz open and safe. The two things that have to be done. Now, Trump goes tone deaf very often. And I know, and he's 100% correct, that we need the Save America Act. Anything else is insanity. But that is today's Communist Party. Now, he's going to give a speech about that tonight. And he's going to talk about the 2000 election. I'm not watching it. I am not interested. I know they tried to steal the 2020 election in a more systematic way than has ever been employed in the history of elections. I know that. However, nobody cares, President Trump. No one cares. We've moved past it. It's 6 years ago. And you haven't even sold the country on the truth about Iran and why we had to attack them. And now you're going on to the next subject. Ain't working. Not going to work. You've opposed Republican senators who are not going to vote for it. It's over. Shouldn't be. We should be focusing on the Republican senators who failed all of us. And that's another story. But I mean, are you really going to make a speech tonight, a primetime speech about the 2020 election corruption? Okay, you found something new. That's worth a primetime speech? No, because it's not, it doesn't matter. I don't know. Some people disagreeing. JB says if the 2020 election was fraudulent, that has major repercussions. Can you imagine everything Biden did will be reversed? And also Obama, another illegitimate president. Can you imagine the ripple effect? Well, none of it is going to be reversed. Once Biden was sworn in, the 2020 election was over. And you can't prove they stole the election. You could prove they tried like hell. It is logical to believe they stole the 2020 election between Zuckerberg's $419 million voter bureau takeover, illegal voter bureau takeover, I'll tell you, and efforts like were exposed in the 2000 mules and the extra hundreds of thousands of votes we've now discovered in Georgia. I think you make a logical conclusion that 2020 was stolen. Has no bearing now. And it isn't the issue American people need to talk about. They need to talk about Iran, why it was necessary, why gas prices are high. These are the practical facts. Do I care about the 2020 election being stolen? Yes. We've got midterms to win, though. If anybody can tell me what bearing tonight's speech will have on the midterms, feel free. Tell me. So we prove the 2020 election was stolen. Nothing changes. Nothing. And we waste an opportunity to sell what has been an absolutely necessary, and I'll use the word I don't like, existential crushing of the Iranian war machine. Our new Nazis, today's Nazis. It's frustrating. We'll see. I'm not gonna bother watching. So you guys can tell me about it tomorrow if you bother to watch. He goes tone deaf sometimes, and here we're going to deal with it. By the way, you can catch us on live stream, and that is brought to you. You go to WILK, Bob Cordaro Show, WILK, on YouTube, and we're live streaming. Roach Supply. I've got my all-time great T-shirt on, and Roach Supply is bringing it to you. They're the premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania. 75 years in business, and you know what that means. That means these are the type of people you want to deal with when you're making an expensive proposition like redoing your kitchen or furnishing a kitchen in a new construct. We're furnishing the bathroom, most expensive rooms in the house. You go to Roach Supply because they're honest, they know what they're doing, they've got access to products from all over the country. ROCHE, roachsupply.com today. We'll be back. We want to hear from our great sponsors, and then we'll come back. Steve Winwood, this date, 1988, moved from number 12 to number 6 with his hit Roll With It. Murph tells us all of that. And before that, in our history, 1999, this date. Hard to believe it's that long ago. John F. Kennedy Jr. and the Bissett sisters go down in that single-engine plane that Kennedy piloted. They suspected he was flying upside down before the crash. Oh, that was a tragedy. I liked John. I'm sure I told you I met him, and when I was running for Congress in 1988, he was the speaker at the Lackawanna County Democrat dinner. I was running as a Democrat, believe it or not. Oh, it's when the Democrats were normal, by and large. And so I got to meet him and talk to him and all that kind of thing at Governor Casey's house. Nice guy. Not brilliant, but a nice person. You really could tell he was a nice person. I felt that way. And that's sad. Tough stuff. Anyway, we are back on the Bob Cordaro Show. Somebody said, Bob, speaking of the rain tax, have you seen the $60,000 rain garden Luzerne County installed at their new building in Wyoming? It looks like a blighted property. No, I have not seen that. Oh, Lord. Well, you'll have to send a picture of it to my email because we can't get pictures on this text system. My email, robert.cordaro, Cordaro, at Odyssey, AUDACY.com. Robert.cordaro, Cordaro, at Odyssey, AUDACY.com. My man Mark Mayer texting, Dems were never normal. Yeah. By the way, JB sent this in, and it's so true, and it's actually worse than this. A meme. It says, remember how we got here. Hillary Clinton supplied Iran with uranium to enrich their nuclear program. Barack Obama gave Iran $1.7 billion that they used to fund their nuclear program. Oh, by the way, and much more. This is a separate issue. It was only $1.7 billion in cash. That was the pallets of cash. There was way more than that. Joe Biden unfroze over $16 billion of funds for Iran, and don't forget, allowed them to ship oil and sell it in dollars, which earned them at least $200 billion, which they used for terrorism and their nuclear program and their ballistic missile program and drone program. Isn't that special? That's how we got here. Amen. Unbelievable. I mean, we're literally in crazy town. So Mamdani, we just got sent this by our Club for Common Sense gang. He's watching the soccer with Rikers inmates. Yeah, with police guard and everything. Oh my God Almighty! The phoniness never ends with these people. Never ends. Wow. I don't know. You look at these people and you say, what in God? Like they're running around, okay? The Communist Party's running around saying affordability. Bill O'Reilly points this out. When you ask them, well, how do you lower prices? They have no clue. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to say. They don't have a plan. They don't have a policy. In fact, just as idiot Mamdani said he's going to reduce rent and freeze rent, guess what? Rents have gone up dramatically in New York City because of his idiocy. Unbelievable. Mark Mayer points out that idiot Mamdani was only in Rikers for 20 minutes for a photo op. My God Almighty. they are so loathsome. And I go back to our own Paige Cognetti. Yeah, please remember this, guys. Don't say, "Oh, Paige, she seems so nice," and blah, blah. All of that could be true. But remember this, and remember this well. Her campaign teams is a combination of Graham Plattner's team and Mamdani's team. Communists both. Hate Americans, the Hate America crowd, led by the Soros family, has contributed the maximum amount to Paige Cognetti's campaign. That does not account for the side money and the dark money that's been spending close to $10 million against Rob Bresnahan. Please remember this. Somebody texting, "What the hell is a rain garden?" Exactly. You put a bunch of plants on the roof. They could be nice. Let's see this before we, with reserved judgment, until someone sends me a picture of it or I see a picture of it. The Luzerne County rain garden. This is where the left is going to take you. They own Luzerne County now, which is one of the, it's a crying shame. And they only have 7 votes on that council because we, the normal people, didn't vote. And the Democrats were influenced by left-wing lunatic money spent by the hundreds of thousands in the Luzerne County election. All right. I look at my Picardo's watch. It tells me it's 11:30. You know what that means? We want to hear from our great sponsors. We want to come back and do our Veterans Tribute, the weather, and then we'd be happy to hear from you. Call or text at 570-883-0098. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, provided by our man, John Basiliga and his great Basiliga Hospitality Group. Well, what is the Basiliga Hospitality Group, you ask? In case you haven't been listening. It's 3 incredible bar restaurants, the best there are. The Old Brook Inn on 307 Springbrook Township. The Queen City Tavern on the main drag in downtown Oliphant. And the Far Street Tavern on Far Street in the Great Trips Park section of West Scranton. It's fine dining, like a Terra 519, one of the most beautiful restaurants you will ever see. An old world take, the same amazing dining experience, the Stegmeyer Mansion, downtown Wilkes-Barre. Both the Terra and Stegmeyer say, you know, we know things could be tough right now. We got a happy hour, apps, new menu items, so it's affordable to have this kind of luxury. Terra and Stegmeyer, best restaurants in Northeast Pennsylvania and beyond. Coming soon, Coney Island lunch. Forget Hot Dog Johnny's. I'll be doing it in downtown Scranton. And, of course, Reagan's Ice Cream Shop, named after John's daughter. You're going to love it. Michael Martin. He was just 74 when we lost him July 6th. He was from Hanover Township, Pennsylvania. His friend and a great friend of the show, Fred Duckman, that's his pseudonym, sent this in to me. Mike was born and grew up in Plymouth and went to school in Nanticoke, in a building that would one day become his son's junior high. As a teenager, he worked at Stookey's Barbecue, the first of a lifetime of jobs he threw himself into completely. He went on to serve all of us in the United States Army. Mike spent his life as an iron worker, and his hands helped raise buildings across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. He was part of the crew that built the World Trade Center in New York City, the new one. Work was only a part of him. More often than not, Mike was the life of the party. He was the man in the room having the best time and making sure everyone around him was having one as well. Music ran through his life. He played the drums and recorded a 45 with his band, the Country Rebels. Duckman, you're going to have to send me that song. We'll play it. A song about Centralia and the coal mine that still burns beneath that town. He loved all kinds of music, but classic rock was his favorite. He saw Chicago many times, always with family and friends along, including one last show with his son Michael, after his diagnosis. He was not going to miss it. Generous with his time and everything he had. He loved to cook and probably watched every episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. An avid angler. He loved his dogs deeply, but he loved his family the most with everything he had. He never ended a phone call without telling his son and daughter how much he loved them. Mike never did anything halfway, not work, not hobbies, and least of all, the people he loved. The love of Mike's life and devoted wife of almost 24 years, the former Kathy Schmerlo, passed away 2 days after Mike on July 8th. Wow. He's survived by his son, Michael, and Michael's partner, his daughter, Kelly, her husband, grandsons, granddaughters, sisters, and other family members. Our great veteran this hour, Michael Martin Sr. Brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, and the great Basiliga Hospitality Group. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by the great gang at Montage Mountain Resorts, who reminds you this is, well, it's as good a week as there can be for the amazing water park at Montage. Hang out there. You'll love it. Today, hazy, not as hot, lower humidity. The wildfire smoke is creating some unhealthy air quality and poor visibility at times. It'll be about 89 degrees for a high today. Maybe. Tonight, hazy, low 62. Tomorrow, hazy, sunshine, very warm. High 86, low 64. Saturday, cloudy and not as warm, but humid with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. Storms can bring flooding, downpours, and wind gusts. High 78, low 69. Saturday. Sunday, mostly sunny, less humid in the afternoon. High 83, low 56. Perfect water park day again. Monday, the same, mostly sunny. 85 with a low of 63. Just get to the water park at Montage. Bring the kids, bring the nieces, bring the nephews, bring the grandkids, and have fun and hang out. That's your weather, brought to you by Montage Mountain Water Park, where it's 79 degrees right now. Coldplay. Murph tells us this date, 2000, they had the number one album in the United Kingdom with Parachutes. He chose the song Yellow from that package. Bob Cordaro back. By the way, we're finishing up with Harry Chapin, who I loved. Because sadly, on this date, 1981, he died in a car accident while riding on the Long Island Expressway on his way to a benefit concert. We're going to play 30,000 Pounds of Bananas, which I think should be Scranton's theme song. But that's how we'll finish, and I'll try to play the whole thing. By the way, St. Teresa, well, let me save it, because we got to do something disgusting first, and then we'll do Mother Teresa so I can cleanse my palate. It makes me laugh. These idiots with this Joe Biden Scranton Joey. It was nothing but a construct imposed upon him by David Axelrod in the Obama campaign. He never said he was from Scranton. He's from Baltimore, and he hasn't been back. So what do the fools in the Greenridge Neighborhood Association do? They put up a Biden banner for their hometown hero. Oh, by the way, he didn't serve in the military, so he's not eligible for a hometown hero banner. Oh. He says he's from Baltimore, not Scranton. So he's not a hometowner, and he's not a hero. Biden banner disgrace. Day 215. The sickening Greenridge Neighborhood Association majority wants to keep it up. You're liars and you're phonies. Day 215 of disgrace. All right, about thinking of that sickening specter, we could go to something beautiful and great. Mother Teresa, July 16th. She says, we are entirely at the disposal of the church. We profess a deep personal love for the Holy Father. We surrender ourselves completely to be united with him as carriers of God's love. Pray for us that we don't spoil the work God has called us to do. St. Teresa, Mother Teresa, for July 16th. Thank you, Mary Regina. Always. Babylon Bee. They have a thing on this idiotic version of the Odyssey, which is being crucified by modern idiocy. I'm sure I will not go to see it. I may watch it on TV when it comes to TV. Anyway, they have another funny one. Rashida Tlaib. I couldn't play her diatribe because it was so sickening. I didn't even know what to say about it. And using MFer, and she's a truly horrible person. But Babylon B says, Rashida Tlaib introduces new campaign slogan, for a brighter future and also death to America. It's unbelievable. Another, scholars agree explosive diarrhea outbreak signals outpouring of God's wrath on vegetarians. And another shows Chuck Schumer this disgusting nothing. This is debate rages among Democrats about whether SAVE Act is Jim Crow 7.0 or Jim Crow 8.0. Oh. And another, UK, the United Kingdom finally gets tough on terrorism by increasing the penalty to 5 hours of community service. Oh, my God. Another, man holding his opinions on new movie until political commentators tell him if it's woke garbage or epically based. You got it. It's nice. This it comes to your phone, the Babylon Bee, and it really is worth supporting. I'm telling you, good stuff. Anyway, Bob Cordaro, WILK. We're going to take a break. We got to hear from our sponsors. We'll find out and catch up on the markets. And then we got 30,000 pounds of bananas to wrap this up. Ozzy Osbourne. He performed at the Chicago Open Air Festival at Toyota Park, Illinois. Mom, I'm coming home. Murph tells us this date, 2017. And we're finishing with the whole package. I'll try to, I got to sing over or talk over some of it. But one of my favorite songs ever, Harry Chapin. He died this date, 1981, on the Long Island Expressway on his way to a benefit concert. And he's the guy who did 30,000 pounds of bananas. The story about the tractor trailer hauling bananas. Somebody says 30,000 pounds of bananas, Scranton's theme song. There's still a lot of things that are bananas about Scranton. Just look at his city hall to start. And their new building. $2 million return on a $15,000 investment. Not bad for the Fidelity bankers. Just give them, think of this. What's she going to do with the $15 million they're spending on her campaign, Paige Cognetti? She'll return billions. She'll make sure of it. All at our expense, by the way. Somebody says if nobody cares about the 2020 election, how it was stolen, then you're just giving them a free ticket to keep stealing the elections. I know. I'm not saying there's not a point. I just don't know if this is, well, I don't agree that this is the right vehicle. That's all. And we know they tried to steal it. We know it. All right, I'll let Harry finish it up. And indulge me on this, would you please? Please do that. Somebody says, look at the damage to this country that's been done in 6 years. Look around, the communists are about to take over. You mean to tell me that if the 2020 election wasn't stolen, the country wouldn't be the way it is now? I know. I'm not disagreeing. You're not understanding my point. My point is completely strategic. That's the point. Hey, we didn't mention her, but I got to mention her because she's great and she's one of our favorites. Tina Morocco, Global Sales Advisor at Premier Sotheby's Realty in Naples, Florida. Reach her at Sotheby's Realty in Florida or direct with Tina Morocco, MURACCO.com. Yeah. Well, more to do, but we can't do it today. We got to let Harry do this deal. So I will gavel to a close. Today's meeting. Well, no, I won't gavel to a close yet. We'll keep it going and listen to Harry. I got to figure out how the heck I'm biting my lip lately. I'm actually hurting it. I don't know how it's happening either. It might be a pre-stroke condition. Who knows? 12 o'clock on my Picardo Jewelers watch. We say adios. God willing, I'll be with you tomorrow morning. But for now, we must adjourn this meeting, today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense.